All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Welcome to the people watching on Substack. Welcome to the people watching on Odyssey. You guys are living in the future. Oh, I forgot to post my little "we're live" thing, but thank you, Victory Jen. I appreciate you. Maybe we'll include this. This is kind of cool. Had a very busy morning. So I did everything but do that. There's a what? You have what? You have 3 ears? Since when? They charge extra for that? Is that covered under the ACA? Getting a third ear installed? Yo, Serenity up in the chats. How you doing? All right. Folks here, folks there, folks everywhere. We got people watching on Odyssey. Give a shout. If you're watching on Substack, give a shout. I got the chats up on both. And I will do my best to check in. Okay. What's happening? There's a deal to reopen the government. Government. I don't know why it's funny to say it like that, but it is. Government. Oh. Let's look at it. Senate Democrats, Republicans reach deal to reopen government. Senate Republicans unveil 3-bill minibus. A 3-bill minibus. Sounds like you're bird watching. This bird has 3 bills. Like Poppy has 3 ears. The 3-bill minibus. Did you catch it in the wild? And you'll be a happy camper. There are now enough Senate Democrats willing to back a revamped plan to reopen the government. The latest development comes after an updated continuing resolution was revealed that would reopen the government until January 30th, 2026. Is that all we get for all of this? Is a couple of months? They're going to reverse the firings of furloughed workers that weren't supposed to be fired. Are they going to back pay everybody's SNAP payments? That's what I want to know. Lawmakers are expected to take the first of a trio of votes on reopening the government later Sunday night, but it will require action from the House before the closure is officially ended. Hold on one second. This is from yesterday. Hold on. So it passed in the Senate. Basically due to oh god dang, New York Times. Nobody wants to pay for your piece of shit. I'm sorry. Language. So apparently it passed the Senate because some Democratic senators broke ranks. And they broke ranks in order to allow the cost of the ACA to go to triple or whatever. So they did not defend. They let that. They did not defend keeping the subsidies for what used to be known as Obamacare. Can anybody say Ratchet effect? So, and this is what happens. Pretty much every president is that every single administration tilts towards the right. You know, when the Democrats are in power, they, you know, barely push to the left. They kind of keep things kind of status quo. I think people thought that Obamacare was a big push to the left. It was not. I mean, it helped in some ways, but it eventually, I mean, the fact that they required people to be on it was not a push to the left. It was basically a corporate giveaway. So that was, yeah, you know, marginal, but lefties, you know, touted it as the greatest thing since FDR, which it was not. It was not at all. It was not a social program. That was we're going to force you to pay exorbitant costs to insurance companies for exorbitant costs for medical care. It was not. Anyways, whatever. We're going down a road. So the Democrats caved, basically, is what the Democrats caved, and people are upset about it. We got Fred from the Doomer Cafe on Substack. What's up, Fred? How you doing? Good to see you, man. But this is the Ratchet effect, in effect, where the Democrats just capitulate, and that's what they do every time things move to the right, and they go, "Oh my God, what do we do?" And they don't really push for you. And then they have their you know, their resistance guys on either side, like waiting in the wings to go, "This is a terrible travesty. Oh God, how could this happen?" Once in a while, the resistance guys actually join in the vote to screw you over. When it serves the purpose of the ruling class. But every once in a while, they can kind of stay out on the sides and go, "This is terrible. I would never expect anything like this to happen." It's annoying. Here's Bernie Sanders doing the resistance shuffle. You remember Republicans who was trying for a revolution, and yet he's still in office, and I don't hear anything about a revolution anymore.
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. What it does, first of all, is it raises healthcare premiums for over 20 million Americans by doubling, and in some cases, tripling or quadrupling. People can't afford that when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for healthcare. Number 2, it paves the way for 15 million people to be thrown off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. Studies show that will mean that some 50,000 Americans will die every year unnecessarily. And all of that was done to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1%. As everybody knows, just on Tuesday, we had an election all over this country. And what the election showed is that the American people want us to stand up to Trumpism, to his war against working class people, to his authoritarianism. That is what the American people wanted. But tonight, that is not what happened. So we've got to go forward, do the best.
When will you wear wigs? Okay. That's just a weird inside joke. Sorry about that. Real quick, Gregory, yeah, you're right. And also, yes, on ivermectin. True story. I took ivermectin when I had, COVID, or what they told me was COVID. And it was rougher than a regular flu. It was pretty bad. I took ivermectin. It still took me a week to feel like normal again, or, to be like fully off of it. It was but I am also not a spring chicken anymore. So it just takes me like longer to get over things when I do have things, and it takes me longer to, when you're a kid and you get a bruise or a cut and it heals in like 3 days, and it, for me, now it's like a week or maybe more to heal a bruise or a cut. Sometimes it takes a long time. And we don't, we really don't know what was going on behind the scenes, or we don't know the actual, I mean, it could be, there could be something in there that maybe they were trying to tilt us towards in the direction of a economic meltdown, because the effects that and I think this is what probably spurred a wish to maybe reopen, was there really was signals, happening, that the lack of, the fact that the government was shut down was actually starting to cause the ship to creak real loudly from the bottom, and we don't have, because the federal government actually funds quite a bit of spending and funds quite a bit of, stuff. And again, they're funding lots of stuff while the government is shut down. The whole thing that we can't fund SNAP, or we can't do this, or we can't do that, is absolute bullshit, because they're funding everything. They're funding the military. They're funding the things that they want to fund, that they think are really important, but you're not really important. So there's that slap in the face. If you're not upset about that, I don't know. A few more takes on this. Dr. Abdul Saeed says folks should be spitting mad about a few Senate Dems capitulating as health insurance premiums skyrocket for 24 million people. But where's that same energy when it comes to guaranteeing health care without premiums at all for 350 million people through Medicare for All? There's energy there. That's the thing. There's plenty of energy there. They just tell you, like, nobody wants to vote for this radical socialist. Nobody wants these crazy wild-eyed reforms, or, you're talking about a revolution. There'll be blood in the streets. They just scare people like, oh my God, getting healthcare is so dangerous. Like such a dangerous, the way they frame things is like, so dumb. I don't, I think a lot of people can see through it, but there are some people that might actually take the bait on that. Who knows? I think there was another one in here. Here's another lady talking about the shutdown and the Dems that capitulated. And why is it? It's always the Democrats that capitulate. The Republicans never capitulate. Republicans never go, okay. They're always like, hold the line. And the Democrats have to sneak something, like scrape. We have maybe one vote. Remember when Kamala was the tie-breaking vote in the Senate? How little they got done? They had a majority and they had a tiebreaker in the Senate. And we could have, the Democrat, I'm not a Democrat, but the Democrats could have kind of pushed anything they wanted. Same with Obama. He had a majority, could have pushed anything that we wanted. We, again, there we go. But I'm talking about we the people. Anyways, the Republicans always hold the line. They never retreat, and the Democrats always go, okay, man, we put up a good fight, but we just couldn't overwhelm them. They had too much of an offensive line. It's every single time. When Democrats have a majority, they're like, we got to negotiate across the aisle. We have to make sure the Republicans feel loved and safe. Like, what? No, they don't. Just slap them down. Like, we have the majority, eat this, eat it. That's how you do that. That's how you win fights. You don't go, are you okay? You're losing. Are you okay? Oh, let's listen to this lady. Sorry.
Looks like we have an end to the government shutdown. However, these are the 8 Democratic elected officials that sold you out. No affordable care tax credits right now. Democrats got nothing. Democrats got nothing except for a promise to discuss affordable health care tax credits in December. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means you will be paying double, triple your affordable care credits because you're enrolling now. It's already too late. You're enrolling now. The plans end December 31st. So here are the 8 Democrats who sold you down the river: Vermont, Arizona, Michigan, New Hampshire, and Wisconsin. If you have an elected official, a Democrat, that sold you down the river and got absolutely nothing, they got 0 for selling you down the river, drop your comments below. Boost this post.
Yeah. Just to remind you, this is Democrats never addressed the Social Security shortfall. Yeah, well, I don't know the details of this agreement. I'm kind of going off the headlines today and kind of the rough kind of first takes on it. But I haven't really done any like deep dives, or haven't seen more contextual takes. But there's always this group of Democrats that's willing to to just roll over. They always find enough. Almost as if it's rigged. They always find enough Democrats to go like, well, okay. They're paid to lose, yeah, and they're paid nicely, handsomely. Ask Nancy Pelosi. Excuse me. What's next? Oh, this is just a reminder of how people actually feel about Trump. This is during a excuse me, a Lions Commanders game. Commanders is like the dumbest. It's not as bad as what did the Cleveland Indians change their name to? Their name is the dumbest, but Commanders is pretty dumb. Couldn't they come up with a better name? Anyways, the Commanders. So everybody's booing Trump at the Commanders game.
I state your name.
Shut up, Trump. Oh, the Cleveland Guardians. Oh God, that is the worst. It sounds like a Marvel, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, no, the Guardians. Lame. It's like the lamest name. Couldn't you? I don't know. Pelicans is a really cool name. Couldn't you got like a local? Is naming a sports team after an animal as disrespectful as naming a sports team after a group of people? I've always wondered that. But the animals can't speak up. The animals can't be like, I'm offended. You called your team the Bears or the Lions or the Raptors or whatever. Right? Animals have nothing to say about it. The dorks. I like it. Yeah. But I love a team that's named, after the Badgers or the something wildernessy, something that sounds more better than like the Guardians.
And I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders.
We're good at it. Okay, I think we get the idea. Nobody likes this fool. The soulless, evil, hairless, talking monkeys. Yeah. Well, no, my question about the animals is I feel like, like I have always been bothered by the what's the word for it? Anthropomorphization of, like animals. Using animals as like mascots and spokespeople, right? It's like there's always something kind of gross to me about it. Like we don't give a shit about animals already as it is, and then we just we use them as images for things. Oh, that's cute, and they're just like, bro, we're just out here like trying to live, and you guys are just destroying everything. Golly, don't make me your spokesperson, bro, for your crap. It's terrible. All right, the Denver dropouts. You guys keep going. I saw a video of like a military guy walking up the Impala. Yeah. I saw a video of a military guy walking up an escalator past a guy with a Make America Great Again hat on, and he like took it off his head and threw it on the ground. I was like, yeah. Even the military people were like it. I'd say probably a majority are like, Trump is unpopular. He likes to pop out at parties. Sorry. Anybody know what that's a reference to? He's also saying he's going to give people $2,000 as a tariff dividend, which I think is freaking hilarious because the tariffs were a way to scrape money from like everybody, from us and from everybody. It's a tax on us mostly. And I think, the tariffs are part of the whole reality that we're broke, right? There's still money sloshing around, but we're, on paper, we're broke. We are broke. Yeah. And everybody's saying like, thanks, $2,000, everybody's being taxed to the hilt. Things are wildly expensive. Nobody can afford anything. The, ACA payments are going to triple. And then you're going to give us $2,000. Thanks. If it even happens. Substack is unstable. No. Hate to hear it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention to Odyssey. What's up, Odyssey people? How you doing? Scream if you're having a great time. over on Odyssey. I see you. I see you watching. Trump says he'll issue a $2,000 tariff dividend to all except high-income people. I've already given them enough. Trump on Sunday claimed that a dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to all Americans except for high-income people. People that are against tariffs are fools. Fools. We are now the richest, most respected country in the world. We are so great with almost no inflation and a record stock and market price. Well, it's the power of positive thinking, I guess. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person will be paid to everyone. Everyone. In an interview on ABC News this week on Sunday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he had not spoken with Trump about the proposed dividend. He said, this is what he said. He said, yeah, wow.
It could, the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that
there you go.
are
You're
being
able to
financed in the tax bill.
Things.
Secretary.
It could, the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms.
And lots of forms. Is this guy not just a spitting, just a model dweezil spokes chump? It's just nah. They all kind of fit a mold, don't they? What else is happening? Obsolete sent me this. This is a court case for anonymized death data in the vaccinated from the UK, Claire Craig. Or just read a little bit of this. The judgment has now been made in a case we bought against the Information Commissioner's Office after it failed to require the UK HSA to release data on people who died in the period following vaccination against COVID-19. First, I want to thank everyone, blah, blah, blah. I'm so disappointed by the judgment and reasoning behind it, and I want to explain why. So they denied. This began with a simple request for a simple data set. They hold the vaccination register, including dates of death, because people are removed from the database when they die. I asked for the bare minimum, just 3 anonymized fields: age at first dose, date of each vaccine dose, date of death, all anonymized. I asked only for data for those aged over 20 years because the younger age groups have fewer deaths per week, so it might be easier to identify someone. There would be no identifiers. Anyways, the UK HSA did release a small low resolution data set. It did not allow meaningful analysis. The UK HSA argued that there is a real and present risk that data will be presented out of context by anti-vaccine proponents. Okay. We don't want to tell you the truth of what's going on because you might take it and say, hey, look what's going on. That's why you hide data, not to prevent it from being misused, but to prevent it from being understood. The truth requires that things just be put out there and then people get to make up their minds about it. That's what it means. You're not afraid that somebody's going to misuse the truth against everyone because we need to keep lying to people. Anyways. So that's a basic view on that. But this is from Dr. Claire Craig, if y'all want to go check her out. Oh, I needed to read this. Healthcare is a human right. We're still debating whether people deserve healthcare while Congress pours billions into wars and weapons contracts. We need a true opposition party, one that stands for people on the planet, not corporate profit. It's time to break from this corrupt duopoly. Vote independent, vote third party, and challenge every establishment Democrat with real progressive candidates who answer to the people, not their donors. It's, yes and yes. By the way, look at this. There's a lot of support for a third party, but everybody's really afraid of wasting their vote. It's like, dude, if y'all just voted the way you feel, then you win. But but really the propaganda is strong. The Death Star propaganda is strong with the sheeple. So they're like, I don't know. They think the real opposition to Trump is the Democrats when they don't understand that the Democrats are like, here you go, every time. Here you are. But this is I'd say this is significant. A solid majority of Americans continue to say a third major U.S. political party is needed, but several follow-up questions in a recent Gallup survey cast doubt on their commitment to supporting one because they have been propagandized to the bone. While 55% of Americans say they are at least somewhat likely to vote for third-party candidates, only 15% say they are very likely to do so. But when asked how they would vote if a third-party candidate they preferred was unlikely to win, more Americans say they would change their vote rather than stick with that candidate. Additionally, nearly 6 in 10 Americans are highly concerned that voting for a third-party candidate would result in them wasting their vote. And that is propaganda on a losing candidate for helping to elect their least preferred candidate. By the way, if you just vote your feelings and vote what vote your moral, your moral compass, you take power away from the two Death Star parties. Your vote is always wasted, says Going South. Okay. Well, but look at this. 62% third party needed. We need. Historically, political independents have been more likely than Democrats and Republicans to say a third party is needed. This year, 74% of independents, like all of them, 58%, a majority of Democrats, and 43%, almost half of Republicans hold the view that a third party is needed. Heh. Say that's interesting. I don't know. I think so. Younger Americans who are more inclined to identify as political independents, because the youth they're out there, they're thinking things, they're doing things. They're more inclined to identify as political independents, also show greater support for a third party. About 7 in 10 U.S. adults under the age 50 favor a third party. Compared with 61% of those aged between the ages of 50 and 64. 61% between the ages of 50 and 64. You guys, I'd say that's a pretty big majority. If you took that whole range up to 64, it would be a lot of people. As might be expected, 83% of Americans who view both the Republican and Democratic parties unfavorably think a third party is needed. But even 54% of those who view one or both parties favorably agree. Okay. All right, well, there you go. The polls are in. All right, last thing I'm going to talk about today, I think. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get to the very last. Drought could force an entire city to evacuate this year. This is from Jessica. Be calling wildfire. Sometimes you read something that validates your darkest thoughts about the climate crisis. The validation brings little comfort. When the news sounds so bad, you wish you were wrong, that you were just some fearmonger after all. Nobody wants to be right when they're predicting doom, but I don't know. Unless you're, unless there's something wrong with you. I don't know. That's my opinion only. I don't speak for anybody else. You may feel like, let it all burn. Okay. Socialist Party could work well with free healthcare. Yeah. Just make that your one deliverable. Have a third party and make it just like your one, goal is like, maybe not just healthcare, but I'd say that like number one, like we're going to give everybody healthcare. And then, go on down the line. Maybe like the second tier be like, we're definitely taxing the rich more. Obviously that'll put you at odds with the rich, but a very popular platform. Third thing would probably be, have some kind of like, well, I don't know. You could probably maybe protecting, rights, maybe getting rid of Citizens United, something along those lines. I don't know. I'd say you just need really one or two things. And if the one is healthcare, I think that it could be a winner. Okay, we'll go back to this. Today, it's that kind of news. Drought could force the city of Tehran to evacuate by the end of the year. We're talking about mass evacuations. It's rare for the president of a country to speak with such frankness. You can watch the statement here. Maybe doing something, you know, maybe protecting the environment could be the third platform on that party. You know, I would like to see that. I don't know. People are so people are so propagandized around climate change, but it would be a nice, you know, enough people out there I think are concerned, like, hey, let's not poison everything, right? Like maybe just a simple statement like, we're going to stop poisoning people and the air and the water, and we're going to do, you know, we're just going to do our best to reduce all of that, all of the, you know, whatever it is we can do to stop the onslaught of humans on nature. And a lot of people will be like, what? Humans are the best, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. They want to kill you, bro. Yeah, sure. No, they want to tax you before they kill you. Then they want to kill you, but they want to tax you first. So killing everybody doesn't really work for the economic model that we're under. All right. Drought could force the city of Tehran to evacuate. You can watch the statement here. The president of the country to speak with such frankness. Over the summer, their water reserves reached the lowest point in a century. It's only gotten worse since then. Over the last 100 years, Tehran's population has swelled from roughly 250,000 to nearly 20 million. Imagine stretching a water supply that was barely enough for a couple of 100,000 people to cover millions. It's a crisis, and while overuse of reservoirs, bad infrastructure, and corruption have made things worse, name a major city that doesn't have these problems. They've already started cutting off water for residents at night to conserve water. Pipes have gone dry in parts of the metropolitan area. In less than 2 weeks, they'll run out. In less than 2 weeks. From a story at ABC News. It's from today, by the way. If it doesn't rain in Tehran by late November, we'll have to ration water. And if it still doesn't rain, we'll have to evacuate Tehran. They did it. They hate Tehran, bro. I mean, they do, but President Masoud Pezeshkian was cited as saying on Thursday by the semi-official news agency. Major news outlets are giving this story some attention, but not nearly enough. Cities around the world have faced severe drought this decade. But when a president openly talks about evacuating a city of 20 million, we've crossed into a new era. Well, 20 million that's a lot of people in the middle of a desert in a city. You got to think about the scope of, like, I mean, you could say the same about Los Angeles. So there you go. Sure, Iran is known for stretching the truth, but Western media, is always quick to call them out. This time, that's not happening. This time, it's for real. And of course, I'm not the only person asking where 20 million people evacuate when an entire country is running out of water. Rains might save Tehran, like they saved Mexico City. It won't be the end of their water problems, not even close. This kind of crisis will start hitting American cities soon enough, especially in Western states where Dust Bowl conditions have already started to return. I've spent a lot of time researching what's in store for the world over the next decade and how we can prepare for a time when our government doesn't even bother to try and evacuate us. Hold on one second. All right. Well, we're going to look at a little more of this story from the Independent. Tehran might be evacuated as Iran faces worst drought in decades. Yeah, I mean, everything she just said. The forecast looks bleak across the country with no rainfall expected over the next 10 days. By the way, it's 86 degrees here on November 10th. You could just call that LA weather, or you could just be like, yo, it's 86 degrees on November 10th. Um, let's see. With 19 major dams accounting for about 10% of the country's reservoirs running dry, more than 16 million people in the country are in danger of being without water. Mr. Ali Abadi told the BBC that the water crisis is not just a result of decreased rainfall, but also due to water leakage from the capital's century-old water infrastructure. The minister referenced the 12-day during which Israel targeted Taj Rish, a northern district of Tehran, with strikes that are believed to have led to heavy flooding. So that has something to do with it, too. The IDF claimed it had targeted Iranian military command centers. The nearby Karaj Dam is only 8% full, following a 92% decrease in rainfall compared with last year. The reservoir manager said most of the water is unusable. Wow. Okay. Well, we're looking at an imminent disaster there. What are they going to do? What's going to happen? You got your first snowfall in Chicago? Yeah. Isn't it supposed to be kind of chilly this week there? If you like the show, if you want to support the show, you know how to do it. Lots of ways to do it. It's 30s. Yeah. Man, last time I was in Chicago, it was like -5. Woo. So it's something crazy like that. Maybe it was like right near 0, and I was just like, dang, it is cold. And then I drove home, and it was like 5 degrees the entire way home until I got to like I don't know, until I got to like New Mexico or something. It was cold. Freaking cold. 30s ain't nothing. You got this. You got this extra. Messing with you. It was -5. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. The Northerners know how to do it, and the Northerners don't care. And that's what I find kind of like endearing about it, is they're just like, yeah, bring it on. 3 feet of snow. Let's go. Like Southerners are, collectively wusses, because they're like, oh my God, we're always complaining about it's too hot or it's too cold or it's like people in LA, it is beautiful here, man. This is one of the most beautiful climates to live in, and you see people driving around in their cars with the freaking AC on all the time, and it's like a beautiful day, and I'm like, dude, roll down your window, shut the friggin' AC off, and just like, you live in one of the greatest place on the planet to a lot of people, and you're like in your box with the AC on, like, oh, it's too hot, and it is like gets to like 65 here, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's too cold. It's like, man up, man. Shit. Like, grow one. But Northerners don't care. Northerners are like, let's go. F it. Or they just move to Arizona. If they can't deal with it, they move to Arizona. I'm out of here. But I just, it's just like, just roll with it, yo. I've been in Detroit when it was 111 at like midnight. I've also been in Chicago when it was -5. So there's a lot of extremes there. You hate summer? Yeah. Summer's okay, but like I have a hard time moving in the summer. I don't know what, it just melts my brain and I can't get anything done. And I just spend the time just being like annoyed because I'm like, I have things to do, but I just don't feel like doing them because it's hot. In the wintertime, like I can get like a little like energy going. Look at me go. Look at me go. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. North South says I miss San Diego weather. I grew up in it. Was like God, air conditioners the whole coast. San Diego is one of the supposedly better than even LA as far as like climate goes. Like San Diego's in a really choice pocket. But if you live anywhere in California other than like the Inland Valley, where there's more extremes, like anywhere in California is like beautiful. I don't know. I just, it's the one thing that makes up for like as expensive as it is to live here. I've traveled all over the US, multiple times for many years. And every time I crossed the state line, I was like, yes, like back in Cali, because it was always better here than it was anywhere else. It was either too humid or too cold or just, the weather everywhere else was like, or maybe I'm just from here. I don't know. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time. And until next time, beware the bear.